For Paul Skenes to even think that he would go somewhere else right now is it's inconceivable. But we all know the track record is he is going to be somewhere else at some point. He's not going to stay there.
So if I told you I've been locked into the NBA playoffs for the last month, haven't really locked in on baseball yet, what would you say were the top three storylines right now in the Major League Baseball season?
Yeah, those storylines change a lot. I mean, the storyline that everybody talked out of spring training was the Dodgers are so good, they're going to repeat. Now they've had a ton of injuries. They're really, really good. They're still in first place. They got 14 guys, 14 pitchers. Hard to believe, 14 pitchers at some point on the IL. They're still the team to beat. The Detroit Tigers are having an incredible start to what was an incredible run at the end of last year. I don't think many people expected them to have the best record in baseball a couple days ago. And I think the New York Yankees not signing Juan Soto are about as complete of a team as they've been in a long time. And that's with Garrett Cole being out all year. So I think what the Yankees have done, of course, the Mets stole all the headlines with getting Soto. I think what the Yankees have done has put them in a great position to go back to defend the American League and possibly break their long run that they have now without winning a World Series.
Super impressive what the Yankees are doing, but I'm glad you brought up the Tigers. I mean, who saw this coming? I know people expected them to take a step this year and be good, but I'm not sure best record in baseball right now. How real do you think they are?
They are, I'm not a big carryover effect guy, but I am a carryover effect guy when you do something for the first time. And what they did at the end of the year was so improbable, like 1.8% chance or less to make the playoffs, 30 games to go in the season. What they did has and will have a carryover effect for their team because now it's not a flukish thing, right? If they would have started out 10-25, you could say, yeah, last year was a fluke. But now they have young, marketable players that are having really good years, and their pitching staff's been really, really good, and they have an experienced manager. So, look, that's where I'm from. I was a former Tiger. I got drafted. They've been down and out for a long time. And I did say a couple years ago in an event in Lansing, Michigan that I had, they said, how far are the Tigers out? I said, I wouldn't be shocked if they make a run at the playoffs last year. I didn't think it was going to be like that. But now they're in a position to what's turned into a really good division. I didn't think people thought that it would be this balanced as far as the winning records, and I think it's going to be a fun race to the end of the year.
Yeah, so John, I've seen and heard some of your past interviews, and I know that another team that you kind of expected to take that turn soon was the Pirates. I don't think that's happened quite
No.
yet. But now we're starting to hear like rumors, people saying they should consider trading Paul Skenes. What do you make of that? That's crazy talk, right?
Well, nothing's crazy with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I haven't liked their trend over the last 5 years. They've accumulated a ton of draft picks. They've not poured anything into making a run. I thought this year would have an impact where they could improve their team. And now what you just asked is more more reasonable than not, I mean, this organization has not shown that they can A, keep players, B, put players together to win, and it's been a tough run for a Pirate fan. I'm going to be honest. I think baseball's better when Pittsburgh's relevant. And for Paul Skenes to even think that he would go somewhere else right now is it's inconceivable. But we all know the track record is he is going to be somewhere else at some point. He's not going to stay there. That they haven't shown any evidence that that's what they're going to do. Matter of fact, there's been some dominant pitchers around the league that have all started with the Pittsburgh Pirates. So it's unfortunate. Um, I've always maintained I want to see in the future a first half, second half schedule where you can compete for a first half playoff spot and a second half. That would change the model, I think, for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Over 162, they haven't proven they can compete. But in a first half or second half, 100% they can compete in that model, and they would keep more players than they would trade.
Yeah. So we talked about the Dodgers and all the injuries they're going through. I noticed they're only a game up on the Giants right now in their division. Just how are they still the team to beat right now? The Mets are right there. The Phillies are there. Do you still look at the Dodgers as the team to beat?
Absolutely. I just think their roster that they've accumulated so many assets that they can afford some of these injuries, but they better figure it out soon. They better figure out how to keep guys healthy because this is getting becoming a broken record for them. Even though they have like 10 starters on their staff, it's not going to work when you get to the postseason. What they did last year was almost heroic. And the way Dave Roberts manipulated that bullpen with only 2.5 starters was not a formula for success, but it was that year. You can't repeat that. That's just not repeatable in this game. So you've got to have your pitching staff in order. You got to be healthy. And the team that's the healthiest at the end with those top three studs are going to run through and can beat the Dodgers. If the Dodgers don't have their top horses in postseason, it's hard to do what they did last year. Philadelphia is a complete team. The Mets are really good. The Braves have yet to hit their stride. The Cubs are really good this year. So there's some teams on the rise. And you mentioned the San Francisco Giants and the San Diego Padres. They're not waving no flag at all. They believe because they have a roster that believes with Buster, you know, Buster coming over to San Francisco and changing the narrative and having a little more balance, to the scenario. I think it can last longer than people are thinking that the San Francisco Giants are here for the long haul.
Are there any teams that have gotten off to a slow start that you think might make a second half run, or the reverse teams that have gotten off to a fast start that you don't necessarily see keeping it going? I'm thinking of a team like the Orioles. I'm a Maryland guy. They haven't necessarily been as good as people are thinking. I don't know if that's going to turn around, but is there a team like that that stands out to you?
I mean, the Orioles would have the case if they could find pitching and get healthy again in their rotation because their offense is good enough. You just can't keep scoring 7, 8, 9 runs to win a game. I mean, it's demoralizing what's happened to them. Unfortunately, their manager had to pay the penalty. It wasn't his fault. They just didn't do a good job in the offseason getting their pitching together, and some of the signings just haven't worked. I think that the Texas Rangers are an interesting team because their pitching is so good. I don't know what happened to their offense. I just think they're stuck in neutral offensively right now. If they score at all, they're going to be a tough team to beat. Seattle, on the other side, has scored runs more than they have in the past. I think Seattle's the most dangerous team that could trend in the right direction if they keep scoring. And I think the team that's gotten off to a really fast start that maybe, you could see them slowing down a little bit might be the Tigers, but I don't think they're going anywhere. I think they're playing the kind of brand of baseball that you need to see. And then people would say, can the San Francisco Giants keep up and the Padres keep up with the Dodgers? That's a tough ask. The Dodgers would have to come down and be a little more mortal for those teams to kind of compete at the end of the year, in my opinion. But get big props to them right now and what they're doing.